That's right, we're back with another video. And today I'm pretty excited because I'm here at Midsomer Norton Skatepark. Now this skate park has loads of cool features, and the one that's caught my eye is the rainbow rail behind me. I've never tried a rainbow rail before, and it looks like the sort of obstacle where I could try a few stunts. Now I have recorded a video on getting on a rail. I did a sort of slappy onto a rail and tried to get off, and I learnt quite a lot in the process of doing that, so I think some of that's going to be applicable here today. Now I checked out a few photos of this rainbow rail online and it looks eminently doable. Of course in person I get here and it's way steeper to get on, it's sort of way rounder, way taller, so suddenly been filled with a bit of anxiety, and I think it's worth talking through some of my fears before I attempt the rainbow rail. Number one is getting on to the rail nice and straight and not sort of becoming unhooked and unlocked and coming off. I think it could get emotional landing back on this rail. I've checked it out and there's a fair bit of clearance, but obviously if this foot slips, could be catching the old family jewels. It could get really emotional. The other thing that's really filling me with a little bit of fear is the steepness of coming off of this rail. I reckon this is going to get pretty fast, pretty quick, and then we're into a transition. So I reckon a few things that are going to help me get over this rail is number one, speed. I think speed is going to be my friend, but of course the problem with going in with speed is it's going to raise the fear factor. The other thing I found with the rail that I tried before was I needed to go straight on to the rail, not sort of turn or at the last minute get out of sync with it. So I've taken the liberty of drawing a couple of lines to help me visualize getting straight onto the rail. The other thing that I did when I tried the rail before was I sort of leant over to the side. I think this was subconscious to try and stop me from getting my body weight directly on top. But of course, if I lean over to the side on this rail, it's straight, so I'll just end up falling off. And of course, my biggest foe is my knees not bending. So I think going over this rail with straight legs isn't going to work. It's probably going to make me stop, but also I'm 6 foot tall, so I'm going to be looking down at a flat bottom about 12 foot away, which is going to again raise the fear factor. I think if I can come in with speed, keep my shoulder in line with the rail, bend my knees up so that they're the most bent at the top, like going over a pump bump, and then keep my shoulder in line and just keep my feet on, I should hopefully be able to get over this rail and ride away. Anyway, enough of my yakking, let's get cracking. I think just to get used to this transition, I might do a few warm-up runs where I just go over the top, miss the rail, just fly out and then roll back in. And then once I've done that, it'll be time to tackle the rainbow rail. Okay, crikey, that's the fly out rolling warm-up completed, and I kind of forgot that I haven't done a rolling for a little bit of time. So this transition's pretty steep, and that flat bank was spitting me down there with a fair bit of speed, and it sort of took me by surprise. So the first one I spooned over the front, and the second one I overcompensated and sort of whizzed off the back. But after a few tries, I found my spot and managed to make a few, and I'm kind of glad that I went down this route because it's given me a lot more confidence and a bit more knowledge of the transition. It is a bit steeper than I thought it'd be, and I think coming off of this rail going into the transition is definitely going to be pretty challenging psychologically. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to start sending it in. Now I really want to try and get over this first try. I don't want to be messing about, but I know what my body is like. It'll need convincing that that's a good idea, so I'm really going to go for it and try and keep my feet on, and if I can get up to the halfway stage, I'll be well pleased. Woohoo! I got the trucks on, I just wasn't on the board, so I found my line in, just following my chalk lines. That works a treat. Woohoo! Okay, that was about a quarter of the way up before I bailed it. See if I can get halfway up. Whoa! That was about a third of the way up. Right, I'm getting a feel for it now. It's everything that I thought would happen. Just need to keep my feet on, to bend my knees more and keep my shoulder in. I think my line seems to be fairly good, but I don't want to jinx it. Ooh. Whoa! Oh, that proves the clearance. Whoa! Skateboarding's a funny old game. I know all the things that I need to do and I still can't do it. So came up there, even though I kept my feet on, my legs were as straight as they could be. My shoulder was completely open. And the whole thing is just because I'm so scared coming into this, that my body's just going into sort of rescue mode and doing all the things it thinks would be safer. So I just need to counteract that. So I need to be mindful of my shoulder staying in, see if I can keep these knees as bent as possible. Oh my goodness. Managed to get to the top, but there's no way in from there with straight legs. It's just a nightmare. So I need to get lower so that I can chance coming down and grinding off. I think coming off of here looks terrifying. I think it's just going to be a case of bending my knees as much as possible and keeping my feet on. I sort of know how it feels now to shoulder barge the flat bottom, so hopefully that's given me the confidence that it's not the end of the world just to keep my feet on and see how it feels. Now the focus is on trying to accept the rail by bending up the knees. So I think on this one I'm going to experiment with bending my knees what feels like a massive amount. I think in reality it'll be like 45 degrees instead of straight. But I think that might help me feel like I could get over. I'm also running out of speed. I don't want to put any wax on this rail. I think the last thing I need is more speed going down there. So I'm doing it au naturel. So a bit more speed, a bit more knee bend, and I think I'll just slide over. Whoa. Oh crikey, that one felt better. Sort of felt like I was about 3/4 of the way down. Probably in reality my trucks are just nubbed over there, but definitely got to a position where it started to accelerate and I just jumped off. This is so frustrating. I did a bit of visualization last night because I was quite anxious, and I visualized getting over here first try. I don't know what I was thinking because, yeah, it's taken quite a few attempts and making a bit of a meal of it, but it's incremental. I think now I've got the confidence to start going down here. It's just keeping my feet on, trying to bend the knees. Okay, that was the first time I unlocked, but luckily the front wheel managed to get caught in there on a sort of cross lock, so I got away with it, but I don't know what happened there. I must have changed my line in. Oh, oh, that was a nasty one. Just got it cross-locked the opposite way, so I was sort of going backwards with the wheel like this. I'm glad it caught because that would have been not very nice. It was pretty emotional as it was. Right, let's keep going. Okay, the excitement's building because it's feeling like I'm getting to the position where I could make one. But the frustration's also building as well. I had no business jumping off of that one. It was coming down. I even felt the front wheels touch the concrete. Then I jumped off. And the problem with jumping off and running is there's a good chance the board will catch me up and tag me in the old Achilles. So I'm gonna have to stop doing that. I think it's either commit to it or knee slide. Now, my previous experiences of these sort of psychological tricks is I always wish that I'd stayed on about 20 tries earlier, because once I make one, I realise that I could have made all the rest. So I'm really going to try and keep my feet on this time and see what happens. Oh, that felt so good. I know my knees were too straight. I know my shoulder was all wrong, but I just kept my feet on and just trusted that it would roll back in. And before I knew where I was over the other side, carving over the rock feature, giving it a yee-haw and a whoop. So on that one, I just tried to keep everything straight, tried to keep my shoulder a little bit more in line. But I think the biggest thing that changed is I just kept my feet on coming off the end. Bit of a fear of the unknown coming off the end. I didn't know if it would work or not. But it came off pretty nice. I felt a little bit of a clickety-click, but nothing too major. So now I'm going to try and clean it up, a bit more speed, a bit more knee bend, see if I can make a few. Well, that's it for this video, and that was a lot of fun. This sort of stunt is right up my street. It's sort of a psychological feat with not too much technicality in there. So as long as I go straight, build up my confidence and keep my feet on, can sort of make it over. I think the things that did help me make it over were no surprise to me. It was going dead straight, keeping my shoulder in, not opening the shoulders, because that feels a little bit more secure, because it gives me somewhere to run out of if the shoulders are open. If the shoulders are closed, it's sort of more like a crab to run out of it. So closing the shoulder in across the rail definitely felt more committed, and also bending the knees at the top like you would for a speed bump was a really key part. It's foolish to think I could get over this in a way that wouldn't work for a speed bump. Hence just going over with straight legs. That wouldn't work if this was just a concrete speed bump. So I don't know why I would try and do that on a rail that adds a little bit more friction than just rolling. So a bit of pump up this whippy transition, trust that the trucks were going to find its spot, keep the shoulder in, bend the knees up to accept the rail, try and get the knees as bent as possible at the top, and then coming back down, it was just a case of rolling down as you would on a pump bump and conning my brain into thinking that keeping my feet on was the safest option. That took a little bit of training, but eventually it felt pretty cruisy. I have to say, if I could just ignore that I was grinding a rail, it felt very much the same as just rolling over this if it was one big concrete speed bump. If you've got a rainbow rail at your skate park, I'd love to hear about it. And also, if you fancy giving that rainbow rail a go for the first try, then please do leave your progress in the comments below. Also, if you're new to the channel, you can feel free to hit subscribe. I make new videos like this all the time. And you can follow me on Instagram at John Bishop Skate. As a reminder, it's been John Bishop, and I'm a middle-aged guy learning how to skate.